There's quite literally hundreds of refractors now on the market. There is so much choice and can be really hard to work out exactly which one you should buy. In this video, I'm going to be checking out the Stellamira 86mm Quadruplet f7 refractor and seeing whether it's worth its price. Its price though is one of its biggest features, and the factory fitted options are aplenty. Its build quality is beautiful, but the proof will really be in the optical performance, and that's what we're going to be checking it out. My name's Ben and you're watching B-Bro Astro. So unboxing this telescope, it comes in a nice hard case that you can lock, and it holds the telescope and other accessories. Here we have an M54 0.5mm spacer, and there is also a 1mm included. In one of the pouches we have the 0.8 times reducer, and we're going to be using this later in the video. Here included is all the spacers. They do come apart, and we're going to use this also later, and you're going to see why it's so important. There's different spacing and different threads included, so depending on which camera you're going to be using, you can take it apart and use which threads you need. So let's address the elephant in the room. I'm a Newtonian user and I love Newtonians. It is no secret. I've got two big Dobsonians and my main imaging rig is an f5 8-inch Newtonian. So why would I want to check out an 86mm refractor? Well, the reality is sometimes I want a wider field of view, and the grab and go nature of a refractor is amazing. And one of the biggest things I enjoy sharing on this channel are things that make our lives easier, or they're potentially really good value options for all of us. The price of this refractor is really appealing, and it comes with a lot of really nice factory fitted options. For example, it comes with a Losmandy plate as standard. It comes with a top rail, which is also a handle where you can mount a finder scope. It's also got two center style brackets where you can mount extra accessories. It's got a camera rotator, and overall the build quality is just really nice. It feels much more like a high-end premium refractor than compared to what the price comes in at. I'm going to be using this at its native focal ratio of f7 at first. I've also got the reducer, the 0.8 times reducer, which you can get alongside this, and it fits really nicely into the case, which is a really nice touch. But I'm going to be using that too to bring it down to f5.6, which is much closer to my normal imaging focal ratio of f4.95 on my Newtonian. So just before we jump fully into this video, I want to say a huge thanks to First Light Optics for sending me this telescope for review. A bit more on them later in the video. Anyway, let's get straight to using this refractor. I cannot wait. I haven't actually used a refracting telescope since I started deep sky imaging 7 years ago. I've been a Newtonian user and I've been using Canon optics. So this is my first proper standalone refractor. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to give my honest opinions throughout. But as I say, please take into consideration I am a Newtonian user, so the refractor gods, please be patient with me. Anyway, let's get straight to it. So the weather has cleared up and I'm going to get the refractor focused so I know how far out the focus tube needs to be in order to keep the setup balanced. We're also going to do a quick star test, but because it's not fully clear tonight, we're not going to try and shoot a deep sky target or anything crazy like that. Also, because we're at f7, I know the integration time is going to need to be quite a lot longer than I'm used to. So while it's still clear, I'm going to get it pointed at some stars, and then we're going to do a quick star test and see how that goes. So the HFR should actually be quite low because the sampling is a little bit worse. This setup will be slightly undersampled because the focal length is lower than my Newtonian. The shorter focal length means the stars should appear smaller, and thus the HFR should be lower, so the stars should appear nice and crisp. But that will be depending on how good the quality of the optics are and how good I can focus it manually. As I say, we'll be adding an autofocus unit hopefully to this, and it should improve the accuracy of the focus. So even though I said I wasn't going to do a deep sky target, I've decided to point at M27, the dumbbell nebula. It's a reasonably bright target and I'm shooting at f7, so I want to have something bright and easy to shoot. There is no moon, so the sky is quite dark tonight, so I'm shooting it in red, green, blue compared to the usual narrowband data most people get. So the red, green, blue should look nice and we'll be able to test how good the star colour is. I'm using a monochrome camera with Antlia LRGB filters, and I really like these filters. They produce some really nice blue and orange colours. This will also be a good test to see how well the blue is controlled with this refractor. It should be nicely controlled because it is a quadruplet design, but we will see in this stack at the end. There's a little bit of cloud, so I'm not expecting to get loads of data, but just enough where we can test the stars and see how this refractor performs. Let's see how the stack goes in the morning. So as the subs started coming in, I got to see what the optics were capable of for the first time. The star field looked amazing. The stars were nice and crisp and really small across the entire frame. I won't lie, it was really weird seeing stars without diffraction spikes, but it was also nice seeing stars as they're supposed to be. In the aberration inspector within Nina, we can look closely at the extreme corners, and I'm pleased to say the stars are perfect right to the very edge. The detail I'm also getting in the dumbbell was so surprising. This is a lot less aperture than I'm used to, but it seems like it can collect more than enough light if your skies are capable of capturing it. The first light with the Stellamira 86mm quadruplet refractor has been completed. It was a really good evening and using this telescope was a total joy to use. As of recording right now, it retails for £1,199. And considering the optical performance and all of the extras you get with it from the factory, it offers a really good bang for buck, like really, really good. I'm surprised more people don't know about this refractor, to be honest. So that's why I'm sharing it with you today. First Light Optics have provided this with me, and I just want to say a huge thanks to them. They've been supporting me and my efforts exploring the night sky since I started this YouTube channel, and they are a fantastic company. They stock loads of equipment, so if you're interested in buying any astro goodies, feel free to click the link in the description below. So First Light is completed, but I'm going to carry on using it and see what other images I can get with this beautiful refractor. I am a Newtonian user, and that is no secret. You can tell by the videos I've made that I love Newtonians. They offer lots of aperture for the money, but sometimes a small portable refractor is really good for the very fact that it's portable. Newtonians typically aren't that portable. They're physically a lot larger due to the larger aperture. So I might be team Newtonian, but I do love a small medium-sized refractor. The first telescope I actually was going to buy was an 80mm triplet refractor, but I decided to go to Newtonian because I really wanted that extra light gathering ability. I am planning to use the 0.8 times reducer. I'll be imaging at f5.6 and that will be really enjoyable. The focuser was super sturdy and really smooth to use. I haven't actually used a rack and pinion focuser for deep sky astrophotography before, or any astrophotography for that matter. I've been using Crayford focusers for years, and it was really nice to use a rack and pinion, and this one was really, really smooth. I've played with other focusers at astronomy trade shows before, including Takahashi refractors, and this one is really up there with some of the best focusers out there. The build quality, as I say, is really nice, but what's build quality without the optical performance to back it up with? I'm really happy to say the optical performance is really good. The colour correction and star quality is really, really good, especially when you consider the price this comes in at. I'm really impressed with the optical performance of this telescope. The star quality and colour accuracy is really good. There is no chromatic aberration that I can see, and I really do like how it resolves the stars. What's even more impressive is when you honestly consider the price this comes in at. This is £1,199 or £1,200, which makes it one of the best value refractors on the market. In a world where there is loads and loads of options, this might be a really good choice if you want a medium-sized refractor that isn't super expensive. Also, the perk of it being a quadruplet refractor means it's ready to go. I can use it at f7 without any worries of backspacing, because you can slap whatever you want on the back. As long as you can rack the focus in and out far enough, you can achieve focus no problem. And the stars edge to edge are going to be beautiful. I do plan to use this with the 0.8 times reducer. This will bring the focal ratio down to f5.6 and will allow more photons to hit each individual pixel, thus brightening the image. This will make deep sky imaging a little bit easier, but will give me a slightly wider field of view for those bigger targets. So it is really nice to finally actually use one of the telescopes that I wanted back when I very first started 7 years ago. Anyway, let's get back to capturing the night sky and capturing some juicy photons that are thousands of years old. So welcome to night 3, or maybe night 4. I've lost track of the nights recently. But tonight we're going to be using the 0.8 times reducer. I've got it set up, but I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be able to get it in focus. The backspacing seems to be a little weird. I followed the instructions online and I've had conversations with First Light Optics on how to best get this reducer fitted. Online it says the backspacing is 55mm from the M48 threads, but the back of the reducer doesn't actually have M48 threads, and I've been advised to use the spacers and adapters that come with the telescope with the reducer. So I'm going to try that now and see if I can get it in focus. If I can, I'm going to be using that tonight with the reducer so I can get a slightly wider field of view and bring the focal ratio down to f5.6 from f7. So let's try and get that focused now and see how it goes. If I can't get it focused, I'm going to go back to the f7 native focal ratio on the telescope. So fingers crossed we can get it in focus and we can have a good night of imaging with this telescope once more. I won't lie, I was not feeling confident. Earlier in the day, I tried lots of different adapters and spacers, and I used digital calipers to measure the spacing. Every single setup and variation I chose never reached the 55mm back focus. The spacing that I have here is more like 73mm, which is way past the limit of 55, so I wasn't expecting to reach focus, but I just couldn't see a way to make this work with my M42 setup that I needed. I can't reach focus with this setup. So I did think this was probably going to happen. This is the start and this is the focused racked all the way in, as you can see. So the focuser is racked all the way in and it's still out of focus. So as you can see, I'm using an off-axis guider, a filter wheel and a monochrome camera, and in order to get this attached you have to use these adapters that come with the telescope. The issue is though, this is not 55mm back focus, because when you're using an off-axis guider and a filter wheel with a camera, you're at 55mm back focus as it is. Just to clear up exactly what I mean, because this might be a little confusing, the camera, filter wheel and off-axis guider, that is 55mm back focus, which ZWO do to make your life easier to achieve 55mm back focus. The back of the reducer is M63, but I need M42 to connect it to my off-axis guider. So I need adapters in order to change that, but adding the adapters adds extra back focus, meaning it's more than 55, and so I can't achieve focus. So after putting the reducer on, I found myself removing it quite soon after realising I couldn't focus with the setup. This was a little disappointing because I really wanted to get it working. So I put the native f7 backspacing back on, and then got it all set up once again. During this though, I've thought, surely I'm doing something wrong, this shouldn't be that hard, and surely it should all work together properly. And then it dawned on me, I can just ask First Light Optics for help. So I send the email and I patiently wait. First Light Optics get back to me and they explain in great detail how I need to connect my setup to the reducer. I'm really thankful for them helping me get this set up and being really easy to understand with their instructions. I really would like to see physical instructions included, as this would really clear up any misconceptions or understandings with how to get the backspacing sorted. It's not from the back of the threads on the reducer, like nearly all other reducers on the market, as you will see here. Okay, so here is the reducer backspacing setup I'm using. These adapters come with the telescope. You can unscrew a whole load of the adapters and they reveal different thread lengths. But if you want to use an off-axis guide over a filter wheel with an M42 camera, you're going to have to use this setup. So you can get it focused. This is the spacing you have to use. On the website it says from the back of the M48 threads you'll be able to get focus. It is true, but it's not on the back of the reducer. It's with the adapters that come with the telescope. So as I say, this is the spacer that you've got to use. It's a couple that are screwed together and we can pull focus. As you can see, we are pretty much in focus. I'm going to adjust it some more, but the focus position is racked almost all the way in, so you really don't have much room to play with. I cannot tell you how relieved I am right now. There's been multiple back and forwards, many emails. I've tried pretty much every spacing setup possible to get this focused with the reducer. I'm just so relieved to have finally sorted it out. The backspacing really isn't clear because pretty much on all reducers and coma correctors and things like that, it's on the threads on the back of the reducer that the 55mm back focus is for. But on this, it's not the case. The reducer comes with a spacer on the back of it, which I thought was really curious, and now I know why. That spacer is if you're using an M63 threaded setup, which a lot of people aren't. But if you are, you have to use that included spacer. Obviously, if you're going down to M54, you might have to use it too. But if you remove that spacer and attach the included M54, M63 and M48 adapters all sandwiched together, that's the spacing you have to use. And that explains why the spacer is included on the corrector. I hope this makes sense. I just filmed a whole load of stuff, me feeling disappointed that I couldn't get this working and saying how stupid it was, the design of it, and they really needed to change it. Turns out you can indeed do it, and they were right. So thank you First Light Optics for being right in this occasion, but it'd be nice if there was some instructions included to make this a little bit clearer for those getting set up. I'm an experienced deep sky imager and I understand backspacing, so if it wasn't clear for me, beginners are probably going to struggle too. So some instructions that make this a little bit clearer can help people get up started and waste less time under their night sky. Anyway, it's a beautiful dark sky tonight and I want to capture as much light possible. So let's shoot this telescope at f5.6 finally. Really excited, and it was worth it in the end. After adding the reducer, I had to shoot new flats, so I put my trusty flat panel on this refractor so I can make sure I could get some accurate flat frames. If you're interested in checking out this flat panel, I made a video on it we can check out in the link below or the link up in the top right corner. Finally, here's how you install an autofocus unit to this setup. First, you need to remove this cover screw, which is next to the coarse focus knob. If you rotate the coarse focus knob, you will see two grub screws that hold it in place on the shaft. Make sure that you don't back it all the way out because they will get stuck inside of the focuser housing. Now look for the flat part on the shaft and connect the flexible adapter to the shaft. My autofocus is stuck onto that adapter, so don't do what I do. Attach the adapter first and then attach the bracket. Now attach the supporting L bracket into the cover screw hole that you took out earlier, and you can remove the tension screw and attach another bolt there too. You don't have to because it will be held in place by one screw, but you can use two if you want a bit more reassurance. Now you can rotate the telescope back around and plug in your autofocus unit. It does just about clear the lost manti plate, so you can use it in the conventional orientation. Using this refractor has been an absolute joy, and I'm sad to send it back. But like all great things, eventually they do unfortunately have to come to an end. I've really enjoyed using this telescope for the last couple of months, and I think it's been a really good period to really test out the performance of this telescope. There is loads to love. The image quality is fantastic, and I truly couldn't ask for anything more. The build quality is superb throughout. The feel of the construction is amazing. It's solid, everything's smooth, the threads are really smooth as well. The included accessories are fantastic, loads to love there as well. The only thing I would change is just adding some increments on the camera angle adjuster so you know roughly where, a few degrees up. That would really help. They do actually offer this on the Stellamira aftermarket angle adjuster, so it's kind of weird that it's not on here, but that's something that they could easily change and maybe put into future telescopes. And a little birdie from Flow has told me they have some bigger telescopes coming, so stick around to see if I get hold of one of those. Thank you once again to First Light Optics for hooking me up with this telescope. You can check out in the links below to this telescope and any other astronomy equipment you fancy buying. They're an amazing company, they ship worldwide, really fast delivery and the best prices. Throughout this period, I've been regretting sending this back. It's been really enjoyable to use, and I really have liked having this sort of focal length. This telescope truly packs so much punch and is really competitive in the market right now. In my opinion, this truly is one of the best telescopes you can buy for the money. The aperture, performance, everything for the money is just almost a no-brainer, and Askar has some true competition coming. Depending on when I post this, First Light Optics have a sale and you can pick up this telescope for a couple of £100 cheaper, which makes this a bargain in my opinion. So do check out the links below to see if that sale's still going and whether you can pick up an even better deal than it would be full price. This telescope with and without the reducer performs perfectly, and I definitely would recommend getting the reducer if you're really serious about deep sky imaging. Helps speed up the focal ratio a little bit, and edge to edge is also perfect on my particular setup as I tested. So sadly, it's time to take this telescope off my EQ6 arm and put the 8-inch Newtonian back on. I never thought I would say that, but this has been genuinely really nice to use. Anyway, until next time, my name's Ben, you've been watching Bebro Astro, and remember to keep looking up.